see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous line o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Grace and peace, you guys. Welcome back to Unshakable with April Chapman, where we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. I'm your host, April Chapman, and welcome to today's special edition, you guys. It's been such a long time since I've done a live interview. And when I say we are live, this is not pre-recorded. It is not scripted. I am so passionate about this particular congressional race that I said, no, we're going to do this show and we're going to do it live. So welcome to everyone that is joining us, whether you are watching us on YouTube or Rumble or Twitter. Welcome to today's show. I don't want to spend too much time with small talk. I did want to say hello to the greatest live chat this side of the YouTube suburbs, the Unshakables. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. But today, you guys, joining me on today's show is congressional candidate Everett Jackson. He is a Republican running for Texas 30th District. And he is a Black American conservative. And you guys, this gentleman has stepped into this race that has been long dominated by one party rule. So this particular race is important to me because I am tired of one party rule. And he is challenging the status quo in TX30 at a time when many voters across party lines are asking some basic questions about representation, results, and accountability. So, today's conversation, we are going to talk about leadership and policy and whether or not Everett Jackson is prepared to offer this district something different. Now, Everett has publicly stated that his decision to run is rooted in concerns about economic opportunity and public safety and the long term direction of this district. So, please welcome to Unshakable with April Chapman, Mr. Everett Jackson. Hello, sir. How are you? Let me get you at it. Hold on. Ah, where you at? Hey, sir. How are you today?
I'm just fine, April. How are you today?
I am doing wonderful. I'm so glad to have you as a guest on this show. And I recently ran into AJ, at
Yes,
Amfest. And her and I were talking, and it was news to me that there was an additional contender in this race, and it happened to be you. So I want to get
indeed.
straight to this interview, Everett. You can start off by telling us a little bit about yourself, but everybody wants to know why now, why this district, why are you in this race?
Definitely. Well, for those who are watching in YouTube and Rumble Land, I am Everett Jackson. I consider myself the greatest conservative hope for Congressional District 30 here in Texas. I jumped into this race for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to give the people of CD 30 true representation on Capitol Hill, something that Congressional District 30 hasn't had in years. We had someone that wanted to be a pop star icon instead of being a representative for Congressional District 30. And while she was in the midst of doing her YouTube tour and media mania, Congressional District 30 has been reaping nothing but hardship from her lack of representation. So I wanted to be a leader servant, come into CD 30 and bring it back to a thriving status, something that we are not seeing right now in Congressional District 30 here in Texas. And I want to also say, before we move forward, you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned about one party ruling this district.
Correct.
Well, I would like to announce to all of the patriots out there that we have something totally different planned for this election. The Democrats will not run away with this election. We will be victorious this coming November. We seen our path to victory, and we're going to work our path to victory. And I have a team that is so committed to this in my campaign that we are assured that we will win this in November, regardless of who's my Democratic opponent.
Okay, well, Mr. Jackson, you sound incredibly confident. Confidence is very important. But to be fair, everyone knows how I feel about Jasmine Crockett. I've been incredibly critical, not just of her politics, but of her character and her disposition and how she has functioned in this seat. However, she's incredibly confident too. Now, we don't want to make this interview about her because obviously she is running for Senate right now. So that kind of moves
Right.
her out of the way. However, your confidence, I'm curious to know, where does that come from? Because we also have her current pastor, who is Pastor Freddie Haynes. He's also put his hat in the ring. So you're not just running, technically you're not running against an incumbent because Jasmine is leaving that seat. However, nationally and locally, people are going to view your candidacy in that way. And perhaps the Democrats believe that Pastor Freddie Haynes is a shoe in. So, what I want to do is, I want to find out from you, what makes you different? What are you bringing to this race that is going to give the public any confidence that you're going to be better for them than what they've already had?
I'm so glad that you asked that. That very question is my weapon X to winning this election. And the answer to that question is I am the only candidate that is in this race that was born in TX30 that was raised in TX30 and presently reside in TX30. When I speak of TX30, it's much more than just a political opportunity. For me, I am a homegrown product of TX30. No other candidate can say that. And me being a homegrown product of Congressional District 30, no one, and I mean no one, left or right, knows it better than Everett Jackson. I know the sorrows, I know the ups, I know the downs of Congressional District 30. And with that knowledge that I've been armed with by been born in, been raised in, and presently residing in TX30, I will use all of that know-how and organic love for Congressional District 30. Many people are opportunistic right now. They're opportunists. They seen an open seat and they just decided, I'm going to run for that seat. As I said in one interview a month ago or 3 weeks ago, that Congressional District is no easy win. You would not just walk over in Congressional District 30, not loving it, not having any skin in the game or anything invested into it, and think you're just going to walk away with a victory. As long as Everett Jackson is in Congressional District 30, the place that I was born, raised, and live in, I'm going to fight for Congressional District 30, and I'm going to restore conservative values back into Congressional District 30. The last time that we thrived as a district was up under conservative leadership. And we would do this again with Everett Jackson. You will see another elephant sitting in the head of this herd, but this time a black elephant.
Okay, so let's just park there for a little bit, because as everyone
Yes.
knows, your predecessor, Jasmine Crockett, is not a hometown hero from TX30. And she was kind of tapped on the shoulder by the previous Democrat who held that seat. But you're saying that you're homegrown and hometown. Talk to me a little bit about your values. You talk about an elephant, and then you're like, you're going to be a brown elephant. So that leads me to believe that you are conservative and you have historically been voting with the Republican Party. Talk to me a little bit about your political evolution. How long have you been a conservative? And there's no shade to people who are new to the conservative movement. I
Right,
myself
right.
consider myself relatively new as it related to Donald Trump's advent in 2016. But how long have you been in this space as a conservative, being a melanated gentleman as yourself?
Great question, April. And this is a question, and I hope that many, as you just mentioned, many of our newly converted conservative brothers and sisters, I want them to understand something. Um, Growing up in the Black community, we are given an anti-right or anti-Republican diet from the womb. We are taught that the Republican Party is for rich white men and rich white people, and their only sole purpose is to hold Black and brown people down. And you are to always vote blue no matter who. So I grew up like that, fighting that. It gave me a mentality of victimhood. I have to be aware of these white Republicans. They're out to get me. I cannot thrive and be my best me. They won't allow me to have the pursuit of happiness because I'm Black and they are white Republicans. As I got older and became an adult, and as the Bible says, I became a man and put away all childish things. I became my own man, and I started to research and I started to study. In April, you know what I realized?
What?
I realized that the Republican Party is the Black community's party. And when I realized that it was our party, it made me dig even deeper to understand what happened. How did we do this great 180? And it was all done very meticulously and methodically by a president, LBJ, namely, to have us voting Democrat for the next 200 years. His words, not mine. So when I realized in 2002, April, that I was Republican in my values, when I realized that I was conservative in my political and worldview, it scared me to death.
Did it really?
It really did. Because keep in mind, the first 27 years of my life, I considered myself to be on the Democrat plantation.
Right.
And to be anything other than Democrat and be black was to be a sellout, an Uncle Tom, a turncoat. And I didn't want to be any of those things.
Mm.
But when I realized in 2002 that I was a Republican, that I was conservative, and that everything that was fed to me from childhood to adulthood about being a conservative was a lie, I had to accept myself. In all things, be true to thine self.
Mm.
Be true to yourself. If you can lie to you, you can lie to anyone.
Come on.
But you must be truthful to yourself. And I was truthful with myself. And ever since 2002, April, I have walked with pride at being a Republican, a conservative, and I call myself Everett the Elephant. And I am so proud of that, April. That is one of the greatest moments in my life. And it was so freeing because in me acknowledging that I was a conservative, the victim mentality, it fled away. I
Wow.
immediately felt empowered. I immediately felt the power and glory that God intended for me to have in my life. I was no longer a victim, April. I was no longer scared of some evil boogie white man that's going to put his foot on my neck and keep me from achieving the American dream. All of that was taken away from me and I was free. And as the Bible says, the truth will set you free. And I was set free.
Right. It's so encouraging to hear you tell that story. One, it lends some credibility to longevity and as well as some integrity in this race because we are seeing a lot of people. I recently coined this term the EBT Republicans. And I know it sounds really derogatory, but there's substance and weight to that because people on the right, including myself, we are very leery. We are very distrustful now because of this element known as the EBT Republican, which is someone who attempts to run as a Republican, but they don't really espouse conservative values. They simply put big government demands and requests on the right, and they kind of cloak it in conservatism, but it's really not conservatism. So it gives me a little bit of comfort in knowing that you're not new to this, but as young folks say, you're true to this. But what I
Right.
wanna ask you now, as it relates to TX30, because a lot of my audience are Texans, many of which will live and vote in that district. What about the leadership there convinced you that it has failed? Now, obviously, politically, we can see the failures, but can you give us some sense of morally or economically of the leadership that has been in that district and why have they failed and what are you going to do that is different?
Definitely, and I'm glad you asked that as well. Over the years, we have several examples of showing the failure of the present and previous leadership from the left. If you want to see, and I hate to say this, but if you want to see a city decimated in poverty or a district decimated in poverty, all you have to do is give it Democratic leadership.
Come on.
Poverty seems to follow everywhere Democratic leadership ends up. And that is by no coincidence at all. It is your lack of moral consciousness. It is your lack of values that lead to this. Congressional District 30 has fallen victim to this as well.
Can you
Of
be
35,
specific? Because I
um,
know what you mean when you say that. I'm very critical
yes,
of Democrats, and I say if you want to see an American hell, a Democratic hell, just an American heaven is a democratic hell, and what they'll purposely do is implement policies that are
right.
the opposite of what would bring economic flourishing and an increased quality of life. So, can you be a little specific about some of the moral or policy changes that have happened in that district under Democratic leadership that have not been good for their constituents there?
Definitely. Well, here in the city of Dallas, which encompasses a lot of TX30, they have taken the stance, our leadership in Dallas have taken a stance that they would not work with the Trump administration and ICE to see to it that Dallas remains safe from illegal immigrant criminals. In
Mhm.
fact, about it, they turned down $25 million. Our city of Dallas, let this sink in to all of those who are watching. In the city of Dallas, our city council and Dallas Police Department turned down $25 million from the federal government and ICE to work in collaboration with them. They turned it down. Understand that we need this assistance and federal assistance here in Dallas. Just a month and a half ago, we had an illegal immigrant criminal to decapitate a man in broad daylight and kick his head across the street as if it was a soccer ball.
Are you serious?
I am serious. You asked for an example. I hated to give that one, but it's very true.
I mean,
It
that's a
is,
good example.
yeah, yes, we had an illegal immigrant to decapitate a U.S. citizen. Ladies and gentlemen, decapitation of a U.S. citizen in broad daylight and continued on with the act by kicking the American citizen's head across the road. And the Dallas Police Department refuses to work with ICE to help us put this immigration law to a heel, to stop these illegal immigrants to a heel. We have illegal immigrant gangs here in Dallas that have taken over entire apartment complexes and have those who are American born living in fear. But the Dallas Police Department turned down $25 million in aid from ICE and the federal government. This is all Democrat or liberal led leaders.
No, you were right. It's Democrat. Don't correct your language. Say it
Yes,
again for people to understand.
yes, this is Democrat leadership. Democrat leadership that are turning a blind eye to what is going on here in Dallas, Texas, and Congressional District 30, all to hold fast to their political party stance. They put politics over people, and we are feeling the ramifications of it. And I would like to also add, April, before I get off of that topic, up under Democrat leadership, there are only 35 congressional districts in Texas. 35. TX30, or Congressional District 30, is ranked 31st in performance. We are fourth from last in the great state of Texas. This is not acceptable, and I would not accept it being a product of TX30. Our lack of representation from Jasmine Crockett and those before her will come to a halt in this upcoming November of 2026.
Well, you do realize Democrat leadership, it's always designed to keep people on this hamster wheel of voting for them because they make promises that imply that they're going to fix things or improve things, but they absolutely do the opposite. So it's kind of like they create the problem and then they position themselves as the solution, but they never provide actual solutions that correct the problem because they are the problem. Now, in my opinion, when you said that they put politics in front of people, I want to push back on that just a little bit because actually they're not. They're just prioritizing a particular electoral group of people, meaning we have heard Jasmine Crockett say that being an illegal immigrant is not a crime, right? That doesn't make
Right.
you a criminal because it's a civil offense, which tells me that she and what I believe Freddie Haynes, the Democrat contender in this race, is going to parrot the same thing. They are absolutely protecting people. It's just not the people that they've been called to serve. Democrats are bleeding voters. People are leaving the Democrat Party in droves. We know that they don't have much money. So someone like a Freddie Haynes or a Jasmine Crockett is probably trying to prioritize the illegal immigrant to actually usurp and replace the people who live in TX30, and they don't care that an American citizen gets its head decapitated and kicked across the street. What matters is power to these people. And that's something that I'm hoping my audience understands. So you've talked about something that's broken that the Democrats are ignoring. And if Jasmine Crockett and her predecessor has caused TX30 to be, did you say 31 out of 35?
31st of 35 districts.
Right. So we can already see that their position on illegal immigration is something that is actively harming the residents of TX30. Talk to us a little bit about you being a Republican and how are you going to overcome the messaging that the Republican Party, there's no place for Black people in the Republican Party because it's just a bunch of racist white supremacists. Like, those are things that Jasmine Crockett has said, and I can guarantee you that is a talking point that her pastor, Freddie Haynes, is also going to mimic. If you know anything about his church, is full of Black liberation theology. In fact, in my upcoming book, The Red Gospel, I talk a lot about Freddie Haynes, and we're going to spend some time. I want you to react to some live clips. But before we do that, do you believe that people in TX30 are ready for a melanated Republican to lead them into greener pastures? Like, how are you going to combat the messaging that the GOP is white and racist and only for the rich? What is your plan to combat that messaging?
Well, I have a tried and proven method of handling that messaging. Just to give you a little history, I ran for DeSoto City Council and I won the general election race. DeSoto is heavily blue, approximately 95% blue. And I was able to walk away with the lion's share of votes from Democratic voters who knew Everett Jackson was a Republican, a diehard conservative. How did I do that? I did that by resonating with them, their interests. I did not gaslight them with identity politics. I didn't gaslight them with identity politics. I talked to them directly about their interests and their needs so that they can have a thriving family and thriving communities. So when people try the antics of identity politics, because that's all it is, Jasmine Crockett and Freddie Haynes, that's all they're trying to use is identity politics to secure the election. When they come with those type of things, I ask simply, how are you being Black going to guarantee you being successful? The fact is, it doesn't. It doesn't. But what will guarantee your success is you taking action for things that are in your interest. And then I go on to divulge what is in the interest of our community. We need to get crime under control. We need more employment opportunities. These are the interests of a community that will guarantee your success, not you simply being Black or being a Black woman. Identity politics have been their number one tool of securing elections, and our people have bought into it. But I say to them, as a Black man, as a Black conservative man, that will not guarantee you success. You addressing and voting for your interests will guarantee you success. This very same thing that I'm saying to you, I said to the residents of DeSoto, Texas, and they listened to me, and it resonated with them, and they voted for Everett Jackson. I broke the models that they had set up for the past municipal elections. The models were dictating that all of these deep blue cities would run away with Democratic candidates. I'm the only one that broke that model. I had 80% Democrats to vote for me, a Republican. And it's because of my message. My message isn't identity politics. My message is that of principles, morals, and what directly speaks to your interests in your pursuit of happiness. That's how I will overcome that messaging of this pro-Black liberation and radicalism. We have to understand, look at the 60s. What did being pro-Black radical do for us then? We had very short-lived success, breakfast programs and whatnot, learning the Constitution and your Second Amendment rights. But how long-lived was that? Not long-lived at all. We have to address the things that are interests of ours that will make the community thrive, and let that be your guide.
Right. Well, I heard you mention something about economic or employment opportunities. As you know, as a conservative, we're not big government kind of people. So I'm
Right.
curious to know, how are you going to balance? We often hear from the left, well, what is the Republican Party doing for Black people? And to
Right.
me, that's the wrong question, because it indicates that you really don't understand what it means to be conservative. However, there
Right.
are some things as it relates to economics and employment opportunity that I'm sure is a part of your platform. Can you talk a little bit about what does that look like? Is TX30 an area that has been unable to attract any sort of economic growth, which impedes employment? Talk to us a little bit. What is going on, particularly in that district, And what is your plan to kind of shine some light onto that and bring something different?
Indeed, and I'm glad you asked that because this topic that I'm going to speak on to answer that question is very important. One of the things that is hindering Congressional District 30 is our crime rate. Everyone knows. Everyone
Right.
knows. Wherever there's a high crime rate, poverty will follow, and you will not attract businesses within your district with your crime rate being out of control. The sad statistic of Congressional District, in which is a fact, is that you're 4 times more likely to be a victim of violent crimes in Congressional District 30 than our adjacent districts. That is unacceptable and intolerable. 4 times more likely. Businesses are not going to tear down the door to come to Congressional District 30 when they stand a chance of them being 4 times likely to be a victim of violent crime.
Right.
So that hurts us. That hurts our economy. And Dallas has a booming economy. Texas has the fastest growing economy in all of the United States of America. So why is Congressional District 30 not a reflection of that? Well, our crime rate. Our crime rate is serving as a repellent to that thing that would be an economy booster in Congressional District 30. So one of the first things I must do if I am elected as congressman, I must address our crime rate here in Congressional District 30. It has to be addressed. And that starts with me putting pressure on those who are in leadership within the municipalities in Congressional District 30. That way, we can have a cohesive plan to go about remedying this crime so that we can become an attraction and not a repellent to those who will offer economical opportunities.
Right.
So that is the first thing on my list, is to get that down. My platform consists of 3 major things, April, and that is faith, family, and security.
Okay.
Faith, family, and security. And the reason I make those 3 things, those 3 bullet points, or the head things of my platform is for simple reasons. Faith. Whenever we put God first and we render God to be the head of our lives, and we have religious freedoms, we will thrive. America was based upon the Constitution, and the Constitution talks about God several times because we are a God-fearing nation. And if we put God first, we will thrive and benefit from allowing him to be the benefactor of our lives. God said to us directly, if we turn from our wicked ways and seek his face and ask forgiveness, he will heal our land. He promises this. And this is something that I believe in the word of God. So faith is first and foremost on my platform. And secondly is family. America was at its greatest when the nuclear family was intact. When the nuclear family is intact, it changes the whole landscape of our communities. With a father being in the home or a family being empowered economically, it changes everything. So I must put forward legislation and policy that will see to it that the nuclear family thrives and that they are able to be successful within their communities. And last but not least, security, national security. Jasmine Crockett, who is presently still the Congresswoman of TX30, said that being an illegal immigrant isn't illegal. That is the furthest thing from the truth. Our Constitution says that they are illegal, and it is a crime.
Right.
And I must echo a sentiment that a fellow politician said months ago. I truly believe, as an illegal immigrant, the only right that you should have is the right to remain silent, because you are a criminal on a foreign land and you're not here the right way. We're not Neanderthals in the Republican Party. We are not saying that you can't come here at all. We're just saying, if you're going to come here correctly.
Right. And
That's
then
all that we're
assimilate.
saying. And assimilate. And assimilate. The same thing we say to those who come and try to Islamify America. No, we're not have that. If you're going to come to America to be American. Don't come to America with the ideology to come and conquer America. So we're not Neanderthals to the right. We are very humane and very loving people, but we want to do things the correct way. So TX30, up under those three principles, I believe will bring a booming economy, back to Congressional District 30, because once upon a time, we did have a nice growing economy, and we have to redeem that. And I believe it's redeemable with conservative leadership, which is why I'm here running.
Right. Well, I know TX30 has as a long road ahead of them in order to achieve those things. For me personally, I agree with the bedrock of your platform, faith, family, and security. However, I'll say it this way. The government doesn't really have the ability to strengthen families, but what it can do is kind of remove some of the roadblocks out of the way that are an impediment to family.
Exactly.
And then faith, the Constitution already provides us provisions for that. However, we do know Democrat policies on their face don't really support um, the free exercise of religion unless it's one that's opposed to the God of the Bible. But we can say
Right.
that for another
Right.
day. Um, I'm interested in knowing, as a congressional candidate, if there's particular legislation that you could introduce that kind of reverses course some of the damage that the government has done to decimate the family, such as incentivizing, you know, single motherhood, if you will, because we know that, and this is not just a Black issue, this is just an American issue. There's a lot of
Right.
government dependence, and women, and I don't care who doesn't like this, are essentially incentivized to, instead of staying together in an intact family, we know that the women can get child support, she can get spousal support. The government will just pretty much be the father or the husband that she used to have. And I wish there was a legislator that had some sort of moral courage to say that out loud. And even if you think that you're not going to get the support on Capitol Hill, at least introduce the legislation to set a precedent to let people know
Right.
government is part of the problem and we need to move government out of the way in order to fix it. Do you have any thoughts about government's role in the restoration of the family? Like, do you even think the government has the ability to do something like that?
And you know what? That very topic, I will be considered a firebrand on Capitol Hill if God see fit to place me there. I will be a firebrand because I will speak directly to that. The Great Society Act by Lyndon Baines Johnson is
Mhm.
what landed us here in this predicament, and that needs to be overturned and reversed completely. I would definitely sponsor, if not author completely myself, whether I get support or not. I still must go with my moral compass. But women should not be incentivized to decimate the family so that they can receive benefits. One of the things that I would like to fight for, and I will say this publicly on Capitol Hill, is to take away that incentive. In fact about it, we must see to it that the nuclear family has the resources or safety nets that it needs to be a successful family, not rewarding it for being fractured. So I would take the opposite route with that. We want to have a safety net in place, but not for you to live off of, but just enough to help you get on your feet till you're able to be self-sustained. And we would not applaud or incentivize you fracturing your family so that you can receive a government check, which leads to another child being raised without its other parent in the home, which then leads down a long cycle of many things that are negatively possible. So I will be that firebrand that will say that out loud, that we are incentivizing women to fracture the nuclear family. And this must halt and stop here right now. I'm not afraid of that, and I'm not afraid to stand alone in that stance. My moral compass lead me to do such. Me being a man that was raised by a single mom who raised 5 children on her own, 5 children on her own as a single mom, I seen the strife and I seen the struggle that she went through raising us. And I knew in my heart of heart, if I had a father there, if a man was there, it would have been much different from my mother. The check that my mother did receive from the government did not make up for the strife and hardships that she went through being without a father in the home raising 5 children. I saw that struggle, America. I saw it, and it's not worth it. We need not incentivize fracturing the family, and we must reverse this, turn this around, and change it. America, it is redeemable. We are not too far gone. We are redeemable from this Great Society Act that has victimized the community for over 60 plus years. And I will be vocal on that, April. You can bet on it. You can hold me to that.
That's really, really encouraging to hear. A lot of politicians will kind of skirt away from that, because it's not real politically expedient to say it. But if you really say that you care about the family and you're concerned about the trajectory in which the country is going, someone is going to have to say something and provide a solution, such as introduce a bill in order to course correct that. So, what I want to do now is I want to move on a little bit to this elephant, pardon the pun, in the room, in that you're not you're not the only Black Republican in this race. And full disclosure, I've had Sheldon Daniels on this channel, and my audience has already been introduced to him. They were introduced to him very early on in his campaign. So at this point, people are going to have to focus on substance and not skin color for a change, because both of you are claiming to be conservative and you're both Republican and you're both melanated. So the question is, what is distinguishing your policy priorities and your leadership temperament, or even your governing philosophy, from someone like a Sheldon Daniels?
I believe that's a very, very easy answer for me. This is
Okay.
like low hanging fruit, that question. And that is, again, I am the only candidate that was born, raised, and presently reside in Congressional District 30. When I say that I have total investment into this district, my whole lifeline is in this district. My mother, my grandmother, my children, my lifeline resides in Congressional District 30. Now, as far as policy, my policies will be strictly conservative, of course, but I believe, because I am so invested into Congressional District 30, that I have extra passion and I have a drive to see Congressional District 30 thrive like no other candidate can. Because I would like to see my home, my birthplace, my present residence, I would like to see it thrive and have all of the amenities that our adjacent districts have. I would love to see the crime go down. I would love to see the economy boom. I would love to see the family reunified and not fractured, all in Congressional District 30. Why? Because this is my home. I am not a transplant. I'm not from Missouri. I'm not from East Texas. I'm not from West Texas. I am right here from Congressional District 30. Charity begins at home, so the Bible says. And if charity begins at home, this is my greatest charitable act, to represent Congressional District 30. And I would do just that. I believe that my passion and genuine and organic love for Congressional District will make me the greater choice of the two running in these primaries.
So, like, you don't think that there's a possibility that the two of you both being in the race could split the Republican vote? Like, there's got to be something that voters can weigh strategically between the two of you. And I understand home court advantage or being from there. For some people, at least, like, for example, here in Atlanta, we got a whole lot of home court advantage people. We call them Grady babies. Like, they are Georgia peaches through and through. And those are the ones that I don't trust. I call them the Cascade Cabal. Okay. They are so knee deep into Georgia politics, and I wouldn't trust them as far as I can throw them. And it's not just because they are from here, but it's kind of like, because they are from here and they've got the roots in their tentacles intertwined with the corruption of Atlanta politics, it
Indeed.
actually hurts them. And so, not to put you on the hot seat or put you on the attack, but
Yeah.
voters need something to weigh other than the fact that you've been there. Could perhaps, like, for example, you're entering this race very, very late. Why now?
Okay, well, I entered this race because there's a particular history that comes with me entering into this congressional race.
Okay.
Originally, I was running for State Representative 109. I wanted to focus strictly on Texas politics not at the federal level, but at the state level.
Right.
But there are constituents of the Republican Party and GOP here in Texas that had concern of our congressional candidates. And they had great concerns about congressional candidates. And for 2 months, I was being courted and asked repeatedly, Everett, we need you to join and jump in this congressional race. You are strong, you are battle tested, you can articulate your policies and your thought patterns. We need you in this race. You are truly the representation that we need as a conservative. And I fought against that for 2 months, April. For 2 months, I fought against that. And I said, no, I'm going to remain a candidate for State Representative 109. One of the reasons that played a role into this, because I knew Mr. Daniels. I knew Mr. Daniels, not to a great degree, but I'm very acquainted with Mr. Sheldon Daniels. And by me being acquainted with him and being committed to District 109 here in Texas, I wasn't interested. But I'm a servant leader who serves without ego and only for the people. When my GOP constituents continue to reach out to me and say to me, we are finding our present candidate wanting and not as reliable as we once thought, we need you to enter this race. I am not one to say no to my constituents because I am a servant leader. And being a servant leader, I know that I'm qualified for this position and I have the love of the people for this position. I said yes, a resounding yes. I will enter into the Congressional District 30 race because the candidates that were there prior to me entering, they were found to be wanting. And that's me saying it politely.
Okay,
And
so
yes,
I guess I want to help the people understand. It sounds like what you're saying is that the people have asked you to enter this race because they were not. It sounds like you're saying they were not confident in the one GOP representative that was on the ballot vying for this seat. They're saying we feel that you are a better option. Is that what you're saying?
that is exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
That is exactly what I'm saying. And it's a very, and let me say that it's a very unfortunate occurrence because earlier on, we were all pushing for this particular candidate. We were all pushing for this candidate, including myself. I actually spoke highly of this candidate at several of my forums, and I had many forums throughout the southern sector of Dallas, which is highly and densely blue. But in an effort to change some of the minds of the southern Dallas sector, I had forums and town halls, and with success, we gained a lot of new conservatives. And I spoke highly of this candidate, at those town halls and at those forums and whatnot. But as time went on, as all things go on, you live and you learn. And I have to admit that I was in agreement with the constituents of the GOP that this isn't the route to take, and I will be entering the race. And I say it very respectfully, without any contention at all. I just found that I was a better pick. I believe I'm a better pick. I believe I would be a better leader. And I believe that the GOP agrees to that as well. And here you have me, Everett Jackson, a loyal conservative. I have never threatened to leave the Republican Party. I have never threatened to run as an independent, as our previous candidate did. So I am a loyal conservative in Republican.
I didn't know that. Are you saying
yes.
Sheldon Daniels has threatened to run as an independent before?
Yes, he made a post of it on X, on Twitter. He actually publicly flogged the Texas GOP, and he flogged the Dallas County GOP, Dallas County Republican Party, and accused them of not giving him any support. He's a grassroots program, and at this point, should I run as an independent? I want to be a Republican, but should I run as an independent? Everett Jackson has never been in question. I have been solid with the Republican Party. I am a solid and committed, devoted conservative. That's just something you would never have to worry about, is me questioning if I'm a conservative or an independent. I am conservative in my values, and I'm a Republican. I am red till I'm dead. So you would never have to question my loyalties. I will not be a rhino at all, or as you call them, the EBT Republicans. I would never be one of them, because I am truly red until I'm dead, and I'm loyal to the Republican Party.
Well, thank you so much for clarifying that. That's probably was well, that was news to me, and I'm sure news to my audience as well. So, audience, you guys need to govern yourselves accordingly and do your own research regarding that. What I want to do now, though, I've been incredibly critical of the one of the Democrat opponents, Freddie Haynes, who is
Yes,
pastor of Friendship West. I'd like to call him one of the barons of blackness or the
right.
bishops of brimstone, in that he is by trade a pastor who pastors a church, who happens to be the pastor of the person who currently occupies that seat of TX30, Jasmine Crockett. But
Indeed.
from my biblical perspective, critique, and analysis, he is anything but a pastor if you just examine the fruit of his rhetoric and the things that he says from the pulpit. It is wholly unbiblical and wholly antichrist, anti-Christian worldview in thought, word, and deed. So, what I'd like to do now, as a treat for the audience and for you as well, there are a few some images that I'd like for you to give me your first knee-jerk reactions, thoughts, and critiques to, because this is going to matter. It's very important, I believe, for the people to understand who the candidates are and what is the ideology that undergirds them. And so give me one quick second. What I want to do now is I want to show some images. And obviously, the first thing I want to do is show this, right? I want to show this because this is an image of a Black Lives Matter um, banner erected. Are you familiar with this church? If you can see, this is Friendship West in Dallas, Texas. This is the church that Freddie Haynes pastors. When you see that, what are your initial thoughts? Like, what comes to mind when you see a Black Lives Matter banner on the side of a church?
The first thought, I witnessed it when he first placed it up on his church over
Mhm.
5 years ago, and the first thing that came to my mind was race baiting. Race baiting. That's what he makes his money from. He makes a living off of race baiting and victimhood mentality.
That
And
is true.
when I first seen him place that up 5 years ago, I witnessed the placing of it being placed on the side of the building. Not only is it on the front, it's also on the backside facing a major highway artery so the world can see it. So we have it on the front and the back, by the way. That is the ultimate. He took race baiting
Right.
to boss level. And that is my first reaction when I saw it.
So you see this as race baiting, and I would agree with that. I also see it as he is signaling, though, to the Marxists in the community. This is a
Indeed.
symbol of Marxism, in that we know that Black Lives Matter was started by some lesbian Marxists. A Marxist is an anti-Christian, anti-God worldview that seeks to erect government as God and dethrone God and put the state at the helm of everything. So, as a conservative, does this concern you? Is it deeper than just a statement, Black Lives Matter, as if we don't need a slogan to know that Black people made in the image of God, that their lives matter, right? It's what's behind the sentiment or the messaging. It's Marxism. And this is why I
Right.
call him a melanated Marxist maggot, because that is the worldview that he preaches from the pulpit. When you see a Black Lives Matter sign, I heard you say race baiting, but for you, does it give any indication to his Marxist undertones as well? And why should people care about that?
Well, it does. It's very disturbing, and it does cause me to give it extra attention. But I'm not surprised by this
Right.
particular Pastor Haynes doing this. This is the same man that has an Egyptian idol in the front of his church as well.
Oh, you
Instead of
mean this
having
one?
Yes, yes. Instead of having the Christian cross, he have an Egyptian ankh placed there. So you shouldn't be surprised that this pastor have anti-Christian rhetoric on the outside walls of his church, because
Right.
within his church he have Egyptian idols. So if he have it going on inside of his church, certainly he don't mind have it going on outside of the church. So
Right.
this doesn't surprise me, but it is a beacon call to all of those who would be of the same mindset as him. It is a searchlight, a lighthouse of a sort, to call all of those who are anti-Christian, but who want to be a Trojan horse into the Christian church to come to me. Come to me. We can work in unison, and we can fool and trick and deceive the people, because that's exactly what he's doing. He doesn't give sermons on Sunday. He give insurrection speeches on
Come on.
Sunday. That's what he do. He is sedition in personification. And that is what Pastor Haynes is, sedition in personification. And I plan on going head on with him, hopefully to share a stage with him, to confront him on his antichrist stand and his pagan worship.
Right. Do you think that you'll be able to? Are there any debates planned between the GOP candidates and the Democrats? I'd love to see. Oh, I would pay good money to see someone debate Freddie Haynes and to push him on his anti-Christian worldview as a quote unquote Christian pastor.
Well, at this time, no plans have been made, but please
Right.
believe those of us in the GOP here in Dallas, we definitely want to see that. Pastor Haynes, when I tell you I get excited and anxious at just the thought of the opportunity to get on stage with him and to annihilate his anti-Christian world viewpoints,
Yeah.
I look forward to it. So please believe, if he wins his primary, because he's not necessarily a sure win. He got to go
Right.
up against Barbara Caraway, who is the wife of a very known politician here in Dallas, who was the mayor pro tem of Dallas, as a matter of fact. So he has to go up against Barbara Caraway. So he's not a sure in yet, but more than likely he will win. And if he will win, I look forward to taking the stage with Pastor, as he called himself, Pastor Haynes, and debate these issues. And I would really love to expose him for not being the Christian that he say he is. I'm working
Right.
on that, and the GOP is working on that as well.
I'm going to leave the picture of this Ankh there up, and I want to cement it in the minds of the audience, in addition to the Black Lives Matter messaging, because you don't even have
Yeah,
to be a Christian to know the Marxist undertones of who Black Lives Matter is and why
right.
Christian church would have, they're telling you who they are, no different than someone like a Jamal Bryant. But I think, and this is just me, a very easy way to expose who these people are and how they are not for the flourishing or success of people in your district is to press them on their position of school choice. School choice
Right.
is, I'm actually working on some content now in an upcoming episode that exposes just how much the Democrats oppose school choice, even though it's been proven to be wildly successful in states such as Louisiana and in Mississippi, states that were very, very near, or if not at the bottom in educational outcomes. And they've completely turned the trajectory of the educational outcomes of those children in a different direction because of school choice. Someone like a Freddie Haynes and someone like a Jasmine Crockett are opposed to school choice. I'm curious to know, what are your thoughts on that type of position? Are you for school choice? Where do you stand on that?
Definitely. I'm for school choice, and so is the great state of Texas governor, Governor Greg Abbott.
Right.
He is for school choice as well, and I support our governor in that effort. And one of the reasons that a Jasmine Crockett and a Frederick Haynes would be against school choice is because Democratic led districts, the way they are failing our children.
Yes.
But they want to keep that money within their particular districts and municipalities. If school choice is given, they are aware that the money will be leaving their districts in their areas. They're aware of that, because the best thing, the greatest gift you can give your child is a proper education.
Right.
That is the greatest gift you can give your child. And for those who are given school choice to take their children with vouchers and take their children somewhere else to get an education, they know, Frederick Haynes and Jasmine Crockett know, that within their failing districts, children will be pulled out, thus money will be pulled out. So the only reason they're anti-school choice, because they care not about the children. They care about the money that leaves with the child.
And not just that, the teachers unions, but it's interesting for people such as Freddie Haynes and Jasmine Crockett, who claim to be so pro wokety woke blackety black. The one thing they don't want is educated black children.
That's
And
right.
I'm of the opinion that they want it that way because the more that they can keep children ignorant, dumb, and failing and at the bottom, the more power and control they have over them. So where they can put up signs like Black Lives Matter and this ankh, and people will ignorantly not know what it means or what it's about, and they can keep them controlled. So it's comforting to know that you, as the conservative candidate, are absolutely pro school choice. And I'd be interested in seeing some sort of legislation if you were to win as the GOP candidate for TX30, how you could bring some sort of school choice voucher to that area to help improve the outcomes. I'd be interested to see that. I've got some clips of Freddie Haynes. This is who your opponent would be if in the event he wins the Democrat primary. This is a
Right.
short little quick. Did you have something you want to say about it first?
Oh no, I want the audience to hear the rhetoric of my soon-to-be opponent.
Okay,
So
let's go ahead and
yeah.
listen to it.
Should be ashamed of yourself. You appointed a neo-Nazi white supremacist as an influential and powerful leader on your staff. All of those are warning signs that pretend your concept of making America great again has everything to do with making America hate again. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was right when he quoted James Baldwin and wondered if we had integrated into a burning house. Our house is on fire, and you were throwing gasoline into the conflagration. I hear from those who've met you in person that you're a nice man. If that is true, you must be bipolar, because your policies and nominations are mean-spirited and a reflection of white supremacy, which, in case you don't know, has an expiration date on it according to God. In love, I offer you some medication for your bipolarity.
Okay, can you give me some context to this clip? Who it's obvious I'm assuming he's in his church or somewhere giving a speech, but what is the context of this clip and what is this rambling reprobate pontificating about? Can you help us understand?
And I love the way you articulated that because that's exactly what it is. Okay, so let me add some context to this clip to what he's doing. Ladies and gentlemen that are watching this video with April and myself right now, this is actually Frederick Haynes, the pastor of Friendship West Baptist Church. This is the typical sermon that he gives to his parishioners every Sunday. That is on the pulpit or at the pulpit of his church, Friendship Works, on a Sunday, and this is part of his sermon. Part of his sermon is to speak about our president, Donald J. Trump, in this disparaging manner, and to incite anger and fear all at the same time.
Right.
This is what he gives his congregation a healthy diet of weekly.
Right.
Weekly, ladies and gentlemen. His sermons are a reflection of this sermon, and he gives a healthy diet of this weekly. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand this. In the black community, the black parishioner takes the pastor word almost as if it's God's words himself.
Come on, sir.
So, with those parishioners getting these words from Pastor Haynes every Sunday, you can only imagine the mentality and thought processes that are going through these 13,000 people's minds and heads every day concerning the political worldview.
Right.
They are being fed by a devil who is disguising violent and racist rhetoric as the gospel. And they are taking this home and they are spewing it to their loved ones as the God-given gospel in truth. We must stop this type of happening ASAP. And Freddie Haynes, if he is to win his primaries, I will put him to a heel because I am the worst thing that Freddie Haynes can come up against. And that is a black conservative that grew up amongst black Christian ministers and pastors. So I have a superb understanding of the Bible, and I know it from Genesis to Revelation. So his line on God would not fly with Everett Jackson. In fact, it would backfire.
Well, one of the first things he'll say is, not all skin folk are kinfolk,
kinfolk.
right? That's his way of trying to strip you of your essence and you being a melanated image bearer of God. These leftist liberal lefticals think that they can shame you into silence by ripping, like, as if they have the ability to rip the essence of who you are, the way God created you, as if that whole skin folk not being kinfolk, what makes them think that we actually want to be any relation to them at all? They are of their father the devil. Like, we don't want to be kin to them. That they might be our kinsmen according to the flesh, right? But that is the extent of the unity that we have with people of this demonic ilk, and I don't apologize for saying that. I've got one more clip. This one's a little longer. I want the audience to hear it. I'm assuming, if I'm not mistaken, Everett, this is another example of his incendiary, racist rhetoric, white supremacist, black supremacist drivel.
Black supremacist.
Right, black supremacist drivel that comes out of his mouth, and it is absolutely Marxist. Remember, Marxists, their goal is they speak in categories and constructs in order to divide people and to usher them into government dependency. Right?
That's right.
So they want you to be electoral serfs, where you are looking to them as part of the Iron Triangle. Remember, the Iron Triangle is the pulpit pimp pastor, the black politician, and the civil rights worker. Well, Jasmine already represents the black politician.
That's
Freddie Haynes is now trying to serve in dual capacity. He wants to be the black pulpit pimp preacher and the politician. And you probably can label him part-time activist as well, because at one point he held a position with the Rainbow Push Coalition, and then he resigned when I guess he felt that he couldn't grift enough from that. But that's another conversation. Anyway, let me play this clip for you guys.
So please now receive this letter, an open letter to President Donald Trump. You wrote a wave of division, fear, and hatred into your electoral college victory for the presidency of what Maya Angelou calls these yet-to-be United States. I must admit that you brilliantly united in unholy wedlock, manipulating the media with your cult of celebrity and the ugly, unresolved issue of race and racism to give birth to your illegitimate victory. Your reality show campaign stirred up white rage and produced a white lash.
Wait a minute. I have to stop you there. Let me just ask the audience, have you seen white rage and white lash produced after Donald Trump won? Now, this is not going to be popular, y'all. When I say this, it's really not. But in fact, I haven't seen enough white rage and white lash, because we keep seeing the emergence of all these DEI politicians. They are elevated. Right? We keep seeing these woke activist judges elevated. I have yet to see the white supremacist boogeyman anywhere. Now, if you want to count Nick Fuentes, you can. I would disavow him and anyone like him, but he's not the majority. I don't know people like him. So I'm trying to understand, what the heck is this man talking about?
And let's add some historical context to this as well. When we speak of white rage, let's understand that the greatest instances of white rage that we've seen was during the time we had Democratic presidents.
Facts. It's called Democrat rage. Jim Crow, KKK.
That's right. So let's add historical context to this. Again, Pastor Haynes deceiving his congregation, and they're taking it as the gospel. This has to come to a stop.
Right. Let's go. Let's continue.
Use the explosive expression and messy truth of Van Jones. You did and said anything to get elected by preying on ethnic, religious, and racial hostilities in a nation that has never been truthful about the ugly undercurrent of white supremacy and heteropatriarchy. You should be ashamed of yourself. You appointed a neo-Nazi white supremacist as an influential and
Oh, okay, I get it. So the first clip I showed was an excerpt from this clip. So let me fast
Right,
forward this about a
right.
minute. Let's go here. Yeah. This dude is awful.
And I would like for all of those that are watching this interview right now, that's watching Unshakable with April Chapman. April, you do a great job, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me on such a well orchestrated show. You have done a great job, and it has been an honor thus far speaking with you and whatnot.
Thank
But
you.
I would be remiss if I didn't say to the audience that is watching, if you all think Jasmine Crockett was bad, where do you get a load of her pastor, Freddie Haynes?
Right.
Jasmine Crockett, her radical ways and radical talking points are a piece of cake compared to her pastor, Freddie Haynes. But we are up for it, though. I am up for the challenge, and I am up to sit him down exactly where he needs to be set down at. And that's amongst, like you said, with his father, the devil, because
Facts.
he is speaking lies and the truth isn't in him. And the
Right.
truth isn't in him.
Right. Unfortunately, I saw someone, I don't know if they were ignorantly trying to imply that Kyle Rittenhouse represented white rage, but I would wholly disagree. I actually support Kyle Rittenhouse and what he did against the violent Antifa crowd that was attempting to burn down American cities and black businesses and all kinds of businesses, decimating the business community and inciting more violence. I think you might want to spend some time looking into what actually happened with Kyle Rittenhouse. He's a hero,
Indeed.
in my opinion. And unfortunately, you've been indoctrinated by a lot of black supremacist leftist rhetoric. If you were unable to see exactly how he was defending himself and asserting using his Second Amendment rights to do what any
Exactly.
American citizen should do, I wholly reject Kyle Rittenhouse as some sort of white supremacist. I actually met Kyle, wonderful young man. I should have took a picture with him that day, but I didn't. But
April, and may I add to what you
yeah.
just said,
Mm-hmm.
we are charged by the U.S. Constitution to protect America from not only foreign, but also
Domestic.
domestic. So once people, it's all about learning your civics, right, April? You
Right.
know, once people learn or take a civics class, they will understand a lot more. But we are charged to protect America from not only just foreign threats, but also domestic threats. That means
Absolutely.
right here, homegrown threats.
And that would
So
include
yes,
BLM and Antifa. Right.
that's right. That's right. So that just to add some legal construct to that.
Thank you. I appreciate that clarification.
Definitely.
I don't know. Here we go.
and be delivered from the petty politics of demonizing others. Our nation is sick, and you are feeding more toxins and poisons into the body politic. I couldn't remain silent as you embrace Islamophobia and xenophobia while marching this nation towards an ugly fascism reminiscent of Mussolini and Hitler. You have ignored the pain protest of the indigenous Standing Rock Sioux and jeopardize the health of millions because of your determination to repeal Obamacare, because apparently you don't care. You have attacked the media that was complicit in your election because they didn't hold you accountable for your alternative facts, and believe that if you
You know what just came to me, Everett? Him reading this publicly, I don't know if he actually sent it to President Trump or not. This is propaganda. What he's
It is.
trying to do is position himself as the one, I'm fighting for you. And I wrote this letter to the president to tell him about himself. And what
Right.
he's doing is he's gaslighting his audience, because if we don't even have time today, but and I'm not trying to give you homework, Everett. I'm not, but we can actually refute every single lie point by point of what he's saying, all of the inflammatory rhetoric here. He's absolutely lying and gaslighting when he talked about Islamophobia, as if
Right.
radical Islam is not a threat,
Right.
and talks about the media was complicit without holding him accountable, when we know the leftist media was the one that spent more time lying and not, the media was not on Donald Trump's side. If
At all.
anything, it was the opposite. So it's literally everything he's saying. The truth is the opposite of what he's actually saying, but he's reading this to his congregation to indoctrinate and almost hypnotize them to the truth, to have them believe the lie.
And
Is
that's
that what you're
exactly
taking away from this?
and that's exactly what he's doing. Again, April, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but the black community, they hold their pastors in a divine posture.
They do.
They
Yeah.
hold their pastors in a divine posture. And as long as these pastors know this, they will continue to misinform and misdirect because they need them to need them.
That was deep.
So yes, we have to wake up the people. And that's what I'm tasked with, April. And TX30, I am tasked with waking up these parishioners to see that they are following a false prophet, someone who is rage and race baiting you. And how do I do it? By showing the truth of everything he said is the opposite. And I plan on doing just that. The team is ready. I'm ready. And the ads will come out in bundles.
Wow. I'm glad to hear that. So inform us about local politics there. When is the primary? And when should people, like, I'm here in Georgia, so I need you to kind of inform the audience of when are these elections happening? What are the key benchmarks, or when
Well,
should people? Yeah,
yes.
go ahead. Thank you.
Yes. Well, here in Texas, early voting will start February 17th. So
Okay.
if you're in Texas, please mark that on your calendar for the primaries. The primaries will begin February 17th here in Texas. Actual voting day, election day in the primaries, will be March 2nd. Please mark that on your calendars if you are here in Texas. March 2nd will be election day. And you all know in November will be the general election between the Republican nominee and the Democratic nominee.
Can you give me
So
the November date again?
what is it? November. I want to say it's the. I know it's the first. Hold on one
First
second.
Tuesday. Is that I don't have
Yes,
the calendar pulled up.
yes, yes. It's the first, Susie. I've been so busy and inundated with the primaries.
No, it's fine. I'm gonna fast forward to November. Is it
No,
the third?
it's November 3rd. Yes, November 3rd.
All right, so I've gone
So
ahead and put that up on the screen for you guys so we can
yes,
all see. Uh, November 3rd is the general election. I can't make it
yes.
any smaller. Oh, there
We
we go.
start early voting for the primary starts February 17th, and the actual election day will be March 2nd. So
Awesome.
so if you're in Texas, please make a plan to go out and vote. Make a plan. This is a huge election coming up, ladies and gentlemen. These midterm elections are very important. We have the opportunity right now to take another congressional seat here in TX30. So we need you all. If you're not in Texas, but you know someone in Texas,
Right.
please reach out to your friends and family in Texas and urge them the importance of how important this upcoming primary is and general election. I will highly appreciate it, and I promise you, your community will love you for it.
I really appreciate that. Okay, so this is our rapid fire segment. All you have to do is it's pretty much a very straightforward. I will give you five questions, and you get to pick your answer. My first one is federal government: too big, too small, or misused?
too big.
I agree. Most overrated policy talking point in this race.
The most over. Are you giving me those same same
No,
answers,
what is
or
the most overrated policy talking point in this race?
the most overrated talking point in this race? I'm gonna have to say, and it's coming from the left. I'm gonna the Affordable Care Act.
Mm,
The Affordable Care Act, and it's coming from the left. The Affordable Care Act. They are gaslighting the citizens with the Affordable Care Act, and they're making it look as though the Republican Party or the conservatives were the big boogeymans of why Americans are going to lose health care and whatnot, and that's not the case at all. So I believe the most overrated talking point in this election cycle is the Affordable Care Act.
okay, that's good. Name one issue that Republicans oversimplify.
That we oversimplify.
Yes.
Over. I think we are so perfect.
We don't
but
do that wrong.
Yeah, but oversimplification that we as conservatives may do. Um, and you know what? This thing here is going to be on they're complete polar opposites. Like it's a
Okay.
far east and it's a far west. But I also think at the same time, we oversimplify migration laws.
Okay.
I think we oversimplify migration laws. I believe they're a little more complex than what is explained to the general public, and I believe we do oversimplify it. So I'm going to say migration laws are oversimplified.
Okay. When is one issue that Democrats intentionally lie about?
Oh man, it's so many, April. I mean, April,
Right.
you just walked me into a candy store. I have to say racial disparities is there a main focus that they intentionally lie about all the time about the racial disparities, and I mean that on a socio-economic stance.
Right.
So racial disparities is something that's also used as a weapon in a tool that they use to try to scare people from the right. So yeah, racial
Mm.
disparities by the left.
Okay. That's good. And who do you fear disappointing more? Voters or donors?
Okay, ask that question again one more time. Who do I
Who do you
believe?
fear disappointing more? Voters or donors?
Voters. Voters. I'm going for the people, sent by the people, for the people, and to disappoint them, that would be a great travesty for me. So disappointing the voters, that is paramount. That is paramount for Everett Jackson.
Awesome. Well, Everett, it's been a wonderful time. For us to sit down and discuss these things. I think it was good to expose my audience to you. As you guys know, we now have two melanated Republican contenders running for TX30, which is the seat that Jasmine Crockett currently holds, but she's running for Senate. And
Yes,
so it's going to be available. Our goal is we do not want a Democrat in that seat. I want
indeed.
everyone to do their research. Please, Everett, tell everyone how they can learn more about your campaign and learn more about you as a candidate. How can they support your candidacy?
I thought you would never ask, April. I thought you would never
Absolutely.
ask. But you can go and study and read my platform at
Mhm.
jacksonfortexas.com. That is JACKSONFOR Texas.com. It's a great website. I have on there my platform from A to Z. And if you find within your hearts, give as liberal, that's the only time you'll hear me use that word, but give as liberal as you want if you choose to donate. I plan on taking TX30 or Congressional District 30, and I plan on restoring it back to a thriving district. I love my district and I love America, and I just want my district to be a reflection of the great vision that our forefathers drew for us of what America can grow to be a more perfect union. And I want that for Congressional District 30. So if you want to walk with Everett Jackson in making America great again and keeping America great again, go to jacksonfortexas.com, become a volunteer if you're here, donate if you're not here. And I appreciate each and last one of you. I appreciate you for your consideration. And April, thank you so much for having me on your show. Again, well orchestrated, and you are the finest hostess with the mostest.
Oh, thank you so much. Listen, it was a pleasure to host you. Like I said, I was at AmFest and I ran into AJ, and she is who alerted me to your candidacy. I did not know. And so I wanted to give you an opportunity to come on the show and to address my audience. You guys, if you have questions for Mr. Jackson, feel free to go visit him on his website, learn all about him. At the end of the day, I believe as a Christian and as an American patriot, I want what's best for TX30. And so I am hoping through God's sovereignty and his providence that the best candidate would win. So I thank you so much for your time today. And until next time, you guys, stand firm, stay bold, and above all else, stay unshakable. Grace and peace.